Hello and welcome to An Image is Worth 1,000 Words. My name is Rob, and don't forget to check out the rest of my blog posts on my website at robhextall.com.
Hello, and here is this week's question. What sports used to be in the Olympics but aren't now? Before you start, check that you understand this vocabulary. Pause the video to make sure that you understand everything. Every time I look at this week's image, I still feel as confused as when I first saw it after transferring it from my camera onto my tablet back in August 2014. How can a tug-of-war rope not be straight? I used to compete in tug-of-war competitions as a teenager, and both teams always seemed to line up straight. How else could it work? Perhaps the explanation lies in this being an outdoor contest rather than indoors, where narrow matting is usually placed on the floor for official events. Whatever the reason, the rain-soaked judge seemed happy enough and didn't suspend the contest or ask the teams to straighten up. Tug-of-war was an Olympic sport between 1900 and 1920 and is one of the many sports that, over the years, have disappeared from the modern day games to be replaced by other more popular or more contemporary events. But before we get into that, how did the Olympics get going in the first place? As with so many traditions, the origins of the ancient Olympic Games are surrounded by myths, but the generally accepted narrative states that they began in 776 BCE in the sanctuary of Olympia and were as much a religious festival held in the honour of Zeus as an athletic event. They took place every 4 years, an Olympiad, and lasted until 393 CE when Roman Emperor Theodosius banned them in a drive against paganism. They were held for at least 293 consecutive Olympiads. That's 1,168 years. Compare that to the modern cycle of 33 Olympiads or 128 years. That's a truly mind-blowing feat of cultural transmission. Understandably, this extraordinary tradition served as inspiration for later scholars and philanthropists. The ancient games were an inspiration for organisers of Olympic Games in France, Sweden, England and Greece in the 18th and 19th centuries. In 1890, after attending the Olympian Games of the Wenlock Olympian Society in Much Wenlock, England, Baron Pierre de Coubertin, a French aristocrat and promoter of physical education and sport in schools, was inspired to found the International Olympic Committee, the IOC, with the aim of establishing a permanent, internationally rotating Olympic Games that would take place every 4 years to promote peace and understanding among nations. The IOC held its first Olympic Games in Athens in 1896 and congregated 241 athletes from 14 countries competing in 43 events. In contrast, in the first editions of the original Games, the only event was the Stade, a straight-line sprint of approximately 190 metres. The Greek-speaking, male-only ancient Games added more events over time, such as wrestling, chariot races and the pentathlon. Likewise, the multilingual modern Games also expanded with each new edition, and the Paris 2024 Summer Olympics will feature 329 events in 32 sports with over 11,000 competitors, of which around half are women. Here are some sports that, like tug-of-war, were part of the Olympics in the early 20th century, but have fallen by the wayside to accommodate more popular sports and a wider global appeal. Cricket, not to be confused with croquet. This bat and ball game is played by two teams of 11 players who score runs by hitting the ball and running between wickets. It was only played in Paris in 1900. Croquet, not to be confused with cricket. This sport involves players using mallets to hit balls through hoops embedded in grass. Just as with cricket, its only inclusion was in 1900. Lacrosse. This team sport was included in the Games of St. Louis in 1904 and London in 1908. It is the oldest organised sport in North America, and its origins with the indigenous people of North America go back as far as the 12th century. It is played with a small rubber ball and a long handled stick called a crosse. Jeu de paume, real tennis. This indoor precursor to modern tennis and other sports such as basque pelota was included alongside lawn tennis in 1908. Lawn tennis was excluded in 1924 but returned in 1988. And what modern sports have been introduced in the 21st century? Skateboarding, surfing and sport climbing were successfully introduced in 2020, and believe it or not, breakdancing will make its debut in 2024. How times change. Will they still be there in the games of the 293rd Olympiad in the year 3064? Let's chat about the picture and those ideas. Number 1. Describe the picture in as much detail as possible. What are the people thinking? Number 2. Do you enjoy watching the Olympic Games? Have you ever been to any events? Number 3. Do you think that Olympic Games are beneficial or detrimental to the organising city? Explain your ideas. Number 4. What sports would you like to see included in future Olympic Games? Explain your reasons. Number 5. What impact do you think the Olympics have on promoting peace and understanding among nations? Here's a quick activity for you. First of all, describe 3 of your favourite Olympic events. Why do you like them? Secondly, describe your favourite Olympic athletes. Why do you admire them? And what do they do nowadays? Thank you for watching. I hope this was useful. Have a great day, a great week, and an absolutely fabulous weekend. Bye!